So, hello friends, I'm excited to show you something that here my friend Eckhart has brought personally to Brazil, and I can say it's at least half of his amazing insight into high power applications like his company, which also produces our health navigator, health integrator, the Laser, a high-tech company in close to Munich that make mostly laser equipment and light equipment for really high power applications in printing and in mainly in laser applications. So he is the right man, and he brought this. He was very happy that it all went smooth, that we could have it here, and I can show it here on next weekend in Curitiba at the Brazilian seminar. And this is what we call the Quantune Communicator. It has the tune in it because I think what's missing completely in most holistic energy application is the tuning factor. So to tune the frequencies to the person. So usually it's either no tuning at all, or you look it up in a book of frequencies that have been useful 50 years ago for some person somewhere in another country for some disease that was given this kind of name. So it's really not anyway client specific, which I think is the key and the essence of holistic medicine, because really the prime example of holistic medicine for me is homeopathy, and there it's about creating the similimum. But in energy medicine this has really not caught, and most what is done there is what I call allopathic energy medicine. It's just going by a protocol, going by some names of diseases, going by some tables of frequency lists that have been compiled by a few people that think they found something good, and mostly researchers that did not have much exposure to really clients and treatment. So and especially true for magnetic therapy, because here we have to do with something that we cannot even feel. We can only see the effect in some beneficial or sometimes also tragic results. And there, of course, there's names like the Perth magnetic system, Magnopro, Biomag, and the Bemer and the Quantune. They are all the same style, very, very basic technology, having a little wire in there and putting a little current in there. So you get, of course, according to the first laws of induction, Tesla idea, of course, but it's a very simple idea. You put a current through a electric conductor, and if it's like making a circle, in this circle you have an electric and a magnetic field. So that's a simple idea, and you can start to do it with a battery, and some of them even work with batteries, and then you get a very minimal magnetic field, and even those have already good results, but they are used some kind of noise of current, or they have their specific frequency that they think is the frequency, and some are used some specific disease specific frequencies, but it's not never client specific. It's never a feedback to see does it good for this person, or is it maybe just bypassing him, or even maybe does it some bad, which with those frequencies and these kind of intensities you cannot. But if you go into the papimi, which is really like a lightning, it's like a big cannonball where you get about you can say about 100,000 times as much as you can get with a Bemer. So you get about 2 Tesla, whereas with all the small ones which I mentioned, like Perth, Magnopro, Biomag, Quantune, Bemer, and you have only about 10 to 100 micro Tesla. So it's like a several magnitudes lower than what the Pabimi does, and so you can, of course, sometimes really shake somebody out of his stagnation, because this is what those power bullets are doing, according to my understanding. My understanding of disease is that you have a disease because your energy system, your emotional system, your mental system is in a stagnation. So you can either jump in a cold pool of water, you can travel to Brazil, go for samba in Rio, or you can use the Pabimi and get a bullet of 2 Tesla, or you can say also 2 million micro Tesla. That's what they sell it. They call it 2 million micro Tesla. So that's the way to sell it. Not to say 2 Tesla, it doesn't sound very good, but you say 2 million micro Tesla. And for everybody who has not the minimum of physics, this sounds much better than 2 Tesla. But that's what they are doing. They're doing about 2 Tesla. And then you apply this to people, and just like recently I heard somebody, even a therapist, she was pregnant, she used it for herself, and of course she had an abortion. Of course, I would say of course, because you can do it for an adult to use those power bullets, but to shake them out of stagnation. But for a child, it's usually too much, just too much. And Pabimi is not the only one. There are so many copycats, like the MG33, the Magna Charge or Maggie, yeah? The Magna Pulse, the PMF 100, then the Pair 2000, that's called the Pulse Energy Replenisher, and so you see, they are all copycats, and there's only two basic ideas. The Pabimi is like the power bullet, and then the other ones, the Bemer is like minimal magnetic field with some kind of energetic component, but I would say it's mostly an informational component that does what it does. But the Pabimi is, I think, it's one of the worst examples of holistic medicine, where they are not looking for even a frequency. They are not looking for what the client needs. If the client needs really this kind of power bullets, there's no way to adjust the intensity, the frequency, the pulse, the phase, nothing. It's just a bullet. And then I was one time in a booth, and I was opposite this Pabimi, and my hair were rising, and this was a sign, of course, of great excitement, and people thought that's a good sign. I think it's a very, very dangerous thing. But again, with everything that has a good potential, a great potential, there's negative potential, there is also much good potential. And so I think what's missing in all those devices is a feedback that adjusts intensity, frequency, phase, amplitude to what comes back from the client, where do we find a resonance. And Ondamed is kind of an intermediate thing. It's like a Stone Age method of doing this feedback. They do it with pulse testing. Yeah? So they have a magnetic applicator, but then they do pulse testing, and then you, like in radionics, basically radionics, you turn the frequency knob until you feel some pulse resonance. So it's really radionic, or you want to call it whatever, but it's an intermediate thing, which I think it's a good step, but of course radionic is only a first step. And for me, core system, the radionic part was a first step to integrate it now with energy. And now here with the laser we have the perfect way to read frequencies. And I have my feet here on the foot plates. And now what we can do, we have here in this system a possibility to drive very powerful magnets. So if you use something like this, it will immediately go over over limit. So you need a special, this is just for ghost hunting and for things like this, or for reading the electrosmog. So this will go over limit immediately when you use it on this, something like this. But we have again here the possibility dual channel application of magnetic field, and it's about factor 10,000 higher than what we can achieve with the health integrator. So we come in a very substantial magnetic field. But now it's more important than even before to make it client specific. And how do we do this? We do it first with the laser. We get eigenfrequencies from the body, but then we have a second stage, and this is here the selector of different frequency ranges, so we can go into the, for example, the heartbeat range, we can go into the breath range, we can go into even up to several 100 hertz. We can select the frequency range in which we want to treat and which we want to select out of the body's eigenfrequencies. So we have the first stage taking the eigenfrequencies and then having a frequency selector here. And the effect will be completely different if the magnetic pulses, for example, come with your heartbeat, or with your breath, or with some neuron frequencies. All the other magnetic applicators that I mentioned, they only, like the Papimi and the copycats, they work only with boom, boom, boom. The others, they work with maybe up to 30 hertz, and Bemer says they work up to 32 kilohertz, but that's only the carrier wave. So none of them works really with higher frequencies. Here we have a pulse width modulation system that works with high powers at even high frequencies. So it's the best of both worlds, and it needs a lot of knowledge how to do this. And I'm happy Eckhart has it, and he's working in this field since 40 years. So here we first read the person's eigenfrequencies, then we select the field, and then we can select here the trigger level. At what amplitude in the two channels should it trigger the actual pulse, the magnetic pulse. So here we have all possible, and we can also set here the maximum amplitude, the peak amplitude of the pulse, and then we can actually even say, okay, it should always use maximum or not. And here we can do manual pulsing. Yeah, so if you want, you can do it and then see how the person reacts. You can use yourself, read the pulse, and then pulse accordingly. And we can also use two built-in high-frequency generators that can be the trigger. Yes, that's another thing. You can just switch the trigger from the high-frequency generators, or you can of course use the core system. So a lot of things, and I can switch this on and go now in the lower in the lowest field is up to 1 hertz. So everything over on the 1 hertz, so that's the 1 hertz region. Actually, I can show you this here. You can use it. It's unipolar, so it's always like the magnetic field of the Earth's north-south pole. So if I bring this close, it will. Okay, you can feel this. It's the low frequency resonance of my body being selected here, taken first by the Bio-LaesEr, and then apply, here using the selection. But then you can also, of course, use the health integrator and use the flashes that are being selected. So that's a frequency filter, and then use it in conjunction with the health integrator and use only this frequency ranges. So you can put, for example, the here the LED glasses, and then have the pulse exactly in the rhythm of your heart or other bands of your body. I can show this in the back here. Kind of. So here we have to make this a little longer so you can touch the extra one here. These are the power in of all the three devices. Then you have here the connection between the monitor out and the source in. If you want to use the frequency selector possibility of the Quantune Communicator. So Quantune is tuning into the communication field of the client. Quantune Communicator. And then it goes into the source in, and then we have here the source out from the laser goes into the source in for the Quantune Communicator. So, and then we have again here two channels, so we can even attach another magnetic applicator to create this stereo effect that I say is so important for all the effects of creating a dynamic labile equilibrium. That's why we have two eyes, two ears, two nose, and so on. So that's the back side. And so this is the frequency selector part, and here we have an output we can trigger from the internal, there's a dual channel 12 megahertz frequency generator. You can trigger this from the built-in frequency generators, or you can attach them here, and then it's a way to treat with electric frequencies up to 12 megahertz, and this with an arbitrary wave generator. That's a lot of things that we will have here, and it takes many more videos to show you all the possibilities. But then, and that's just a little add-on, it's a heart rate variability meter, so you can then actually see what is being done to your main indicator, and that's your he wants to take down the tripod. He's from California. So this you can use for the main indicator, and that's your heart. For anything that you do, the best indicator is the heart rate variability, and here we have an ear sensor. So you clip this on, and then I'll show you the software we have in this. It's the best in the field and the most complex and the most complete. So that's as a little add-on to this whole thing. And have a little patience. We are still testing, redefining, redesigning this, but it will be available in, I guess, in the next 2-3 months, and then it's fully tested, and you know it's an add-on. So you could of course ask to use this alone, but really I think it's an add-on, it's a companion to the laser. The laser together with the health integrator is the backbone for everything now that I consider a core system is the backbone, and this is a very important addition that can turn Eigenfrequencies into very powerful magnetic impact. Actually, the most powerful ones of all that have a connection, a biofeedback mechanism, because this is a very complex issue to do this in a biofeedback method, and moreover, it's actually there is no other one which does a biofeedback, this magnetic impulse, but none of the other ones even has this kind of power. So you have the best of both worlds, and I'll just show you this now. Start with the laser and the health integrator, and you know there's much to come. There's much to come.